Morning, students. This is Mrs. Fernandi, ready for another week of word work and spelling with you. I hope you had a good weekend. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share a PowerPoint I made for this week. This week, we're going to talk about the sounds ooh and the sounds ow, as in ouch, that really hurt. So here we have sounds ooh and sounds ow. The sound ow is most often spelled either OU or OW. We can see here we have a flower and we have an amount. We can hear ow in flower, and we can hear the ow in amount. We do have, thinking about the word flower, we want to quickly make sure we remember our word homophones. Homophones are words that sound the same, but are spelled differently. So our first one is the word flower, the one we're learning this week. It is a beautiful blossom. And then the word flour, which sounds exactly the same, but has a completely different meaning, the kind that we use for baking bread or baking cookies. This week we are studying the one that blooms, this kind of flour here, and not the kind of flour we bake with. Now notice, this is going to come back later, that flour has two syllables, flour, and we're going to talk about the importance of that in the upcoming slide. Your OU words for this week, I want you to notice that the OU is usually not at the end of a word. So there's almost always some consonant or consonant blend after the OU. For example, go ahead and read that one. Round, amount, mountain, and aloud. Now I want to point out that the OU is followed by ND in a one-syllable word and the D in a one-syllable word. Amount, it's a two-syllable word, but the OU is in this syllable followed by the NT. And in mountain, which is a two-syllable word, we would divide the syllables right between the N and the T. So the N is following the OU sound. That's really important, coming right up. Your OW words for the week, I want you to notice that the OW, ow sound, is usually at the end of a word, or, this is the key, at the end of a syllable. So cow, that's OW at the end of the word. Flower, now check this out. Flower is right there, we divide it right there between the W and the E. And so the OW is at the end of the syllable. It has no consonant following it. Owl, that is an exception to the rule. Powder, again, we're going to find that OW, the divide is right here. And we see that it's OW because that's the end of the syllable, powder. Allow, we are going to divide that syllable right between the L's. So we see that the OW is at the end of the word. All of these words follow that rule that I was mentioning, that OW is used at the end of a word or at the end of a syllable, except for the word owl. So that's just going to be our exception to the rule. Now we're going to move to the sound oo, which is spelled usually just double O. And you can see here, this young man is cooking. So cook would be an example. Cook, book, shook. Think of all the words that rhyme with that. And they're all spelled with a double O. These are your OO words for this week, so you're going to want to pay close attention to these. Shook, wool, that's still a ooh sound. Cool, hook. Got it? Okay, all right, I'm going to stop sharing this, and I am going to share a list of words that we're going to go over now, and that is this one right here. Okay, so let's talk about some of these words. Make sure if you want to jot these down because you like to have them in your notebook, go ahead. But for right now, you can also just follow along. Our first word is shook. There we see that double O sound. We go ahead and grab this pencil and just underline the OO in ook, shook. This one, we have the ow sound. Again, you'll notice it's in the middle of the word. The OU is usually in the middle of the word because it's followed by the ND, that blend. Cow, ow sound, but at the end of a word, so we're going to use the W, OW. Wool, double O. Amount, we get the OU, and again, it is followed by a consonant blend, NT, amount. Now we come to the word flower. We've already seen it a couple of times now. So we have that OW sound, and we see that it is at the end of that syllable. So flower, the sound at the end there. Mountain is also a two-syllable word, mountain. But if you look at the OW here, OU here, you're going to see that it is followed by a consonant end, N, to close out that syllable. So that OU, that's still the same rule applies there. And the next word is allow. If you remember, when we have two consonants that are the same, we are going to divide our syllables right between those two consonants. And we are going to have the OW because it's at the end of the word. And then the next word we're going to talk about a little bit more the next lesson, but the word is temperature. So we have a four-syllable word here. We have which is going to stand by itself. And then we see that chur, which remember from last time, the T before URE is going to make the ch sound. Our next word is order. So we have two R-controlled vowels. We have or and we have order. Cool is the double O sound, oo. And then education, which we'll also talk about later, education. Ooh, we see the shun at the end of the word, and we hear that quite clearly, the shun sound versus the jun sound, T-I-O-N. Remember this from last week. What is this called? Yes, it's called possessive. So the year's weather was quite mild. And we have, first we're going to write the word year. Oh, because it's only 1 year. Sorry, I kind of crossed that out. And then we're going to do, because we're referring to 1 year, we're going to then put in our apostrophe and write our S to show that it belonged to 1 year. If we have the word, there were many years growth in the lamb. That's probably not a very good sentence. First, we're going to show that it's plural by writing out the word years. Oh my goodness, I have to get better at this. And then we're going to show possession by putting the apostrophe after the S. Years growth, years what? Remember, we always have to ask ourselves, if we're going to try possessive, we're going to want to know that there's some noun, after the possessive word. So years growth. That's many years growth versus the first one, which was 1 year's weather pattern. The next word is cover. And the only thing I want to point out here is ka. That is a schwa sound made by the letter O, ka, and then cover, right? And then here we have discover, which is awesome because we know we have this prefix dis, and then we have the same word as above, cover. So don't get too confused when you have a polysyllabic word. Just break it down for yourself. It's a three-syllable word, discover, right? All right, super, 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 super. Okay. These are the review words, so we're just going to quickly go through these. Nations, how many nations do we have? Well, we have more than one because we first have a plural word and then the apostrophe. Women, even though it doesn't have an S on the end, remember that women is already plural. So then we just add the apostrophe S there. Same with children. Children is already a plural word. So we're going to write children, then we're going to do apostrophe S. Same with nation. We're first going to figure out how many nations are there. There's only one because the word is nation, and then the apostrophe S. And tree, one tree, and then apostrophe S. So we might say the nation's people, the one nation's people are handling the crisis very well. Or we're going to say the one tree's branches. So what belongs to the tree? The branches do. But it's one tree because we can see that the S was put after the apostrophe. Here's that word through, meaning to throw in past tense, and we have that oo, EW sound at the end of it. Parents, this is kind of a little trickier to try to see if I can fool you. Possessive or just plural? Yeah, if you are remembering everything correctly, it is just a plural word. There's no apostrophe, no apostrophe S, no S apostrophe. So parents is just 2 parents, 5 parents, 7 parents, whatever it is. Window, we're just going to separate between the win and the dough. Now this is kind of interesting too. It's an OW at the end of a word, but in this case, the OW says the long O sound, which sometimes does happen. Okay. Language, we talked about this word last week. We have lang and we have guj. Remember that the E is there for one purpose, and that is to help the G say that, what we call the soft G, the J sound, language. Population, population, that one is easy, and if we just break it up into its component syllables, and we have the TION at the end of the word. All right, so now it's time for you to get your notebook and pencil ready, and I'll open up my whiteboard and we will do a little bit of shared spelling, guided spelling. We'll talk about some more words this way. Okay, let's see, I'm going to use green today, and let's move our little bar up a little bit more, and let's start with the word shook. So we know that we're mostly studying two types of words, words that have the OO in the middle, the ush sound, and the words that have the ow sound, like OU or OW. So shook is just going to have that sh, that initial sound, and then the two O's and a K at the end, shook. I hope you've got that down. The next word, write it down, is round. The kitchen table is round. If you say round and you hear that ow, really draw it out. Ow, it's as though somebody's pinching you. Round, R-O-U, and then the end at the end. Make sure you hear that and write that end at the end as well. We have a couple letters at the end, so we know we're going to use the OU. The next word is cow. We can hear that ow sound at the end of cow, so we know it's at the end of the word. We're going to use O-W. You are correct. The next word is wool. Wool has the O sound in the middle, so we're going to go ahead and use double O-L. Okay. Amount. The amount of money was more than we needed. Amount. So the first syllable is amount. The a is almost a schwa, but we're going to write it with an A, and then we'll have the mount. Now again, we see that we have two letters at the end, so we're going to use the OU in the middle there to spell the ow sound. The next word is flower. A rose is a fragrant flower. Now remember, it's a homophone, so we want to make sure we use the right one, and I gave you that tip that this week we're talking about the kind of flower that blooms in the garden, or a rose that has fragrance. O-W, because it is the end of the first syllable, and then we're going to add the sound to it. Flower, we're using the OW at the end of a syllable. The next word is mountain. Now this time we have two syllables, so let's think about our first syllable, noun. We have the ow sound, but we know we have the n sound after the ow sound in that same syllable. So let's go ahead and spell it O-U-N. That's our first syllable. It's a closed syllable. We're going to use the OU. And then 10, it sounds like this, but we write mountain. I always kind of say that to myself if I'm thinking about it. Mountain. The mountains are beautiful around here. So mountain. And then our last word for today is allow. Allow. Again, we have a schwa at the beginning. We're going to spell that schwa with an A and then an L. Now we've divided between two of the same constants, so we know the next one is also going to be L, and the ow sound at the end of a word. How do we write the end of a word? The ow sound. That's right, O-W, right? Okay, let's stop right there. Tomorrow we're going to do a few more sounds with ow and oo, and we're also going to go over some tricky words. So I will see you next time. Take care and stay safe.